The numbers confirm what the country has been feeling. The current coalition government is losing its grip on power. Talbot Mills polling from April to June 2026 shows the right coalition flatlining, while the left bloc, Labour, the Greens, and Te Pāti Māori, surges to 49% support. Through the MMP calculator, the left bloc hits 61 seats. The current coalition falls to 59. The specific catalyst driving this shift is the Green Party. Since April, they have nearly doubled their voter base to 13%, and that momentum is pulling against a heavy anchor. 51% of voters now actively disapprove of the current government. Unseating the current government is now numerically viable, but a fractured left means the new administration's exact policy makeup is entirely up for grabs. The left bloc faces a stark divergence. It can revert to a centrist, incremental status quo, or it can push for structural, to Tiriti-led reform. Securing 61 seats is only half the battle. As a strategic voter, the real decision is choosing which party's underlying architecture will dictate the left bloc's actions. This comparison matrix evaluates the political vehicles vying for the progressive and Māori vote, their policy foundations, leadership dynamics, and trade-offs. The Greens' economic engine relies on an $8 billion wealth tax, tied directly to Kaupapa Māori policy. The intended outcome of these policies is to embed Te Tiriti structurally into legislation and reverse colonial land dispossession by amending the Public Works Act. These demands carry an immediate trade-off. Pushing for these changes guarantees friction with a cautious Labour Party and will trigger fierce resistance from capital interests. To hold that line, the Greens rely on their leadership dynamic. Co-leader Marama Davidson anchors the party's non-negotiable Kaupapa Māori commitments. She is matched by Chlöe Swarbrick, who provides aggressive, tactical cross-examination on economic and urban issues. Together, this dual leadership structure uniquely captures traditional tangata whenua and younger urban progressives under one roof. A vote for the Greens guarantees that demands for systemic reform will be brought to the negotiating table, provided you can stomach the resulting internal coalition turbulence. Meanwhile, a distinct civil war over political representation and corporate influence is unfolding within the independent Maori electorates. Te Pāti Māori historically held this space, but its current leadership structure has drawn sharp scrutiny. The party's president, John Tamihere, serves simultaneously as the chief executive of the Waiparia Trust, an organization holding over $100 million in assets, which previously issued him a massive interest-free loan for campaign funding. This deep corporate alignment has left many working-class and grassroots Maori voters feeling alienated by what functions as an indigenous executive class. That alienation has produced a direct response. Following her expulsion from Te Pāti Māori, MP Mariameno Kapa-Kingi launched the regional Te Tai Tokerau Party. Her movement strips away corporate machinery, focusing entirely on localized decision-making and mana mokopuna, the well-being of future generations. The goal is to secure fierce, uncompromising representation specifically tailored to the North. But backing a regional splinter party carries a severe mathematical risk. It divides the electorate vote and increases the chances of failing to meet the national 5% threshold. Voters in these electorates face a stark choice: continue to fund a compromised national machine or gamble on a mathematically risky, ideologically focused regional movement. For voters seeking reform entirely outside the Labour-Green dynamic, the Opportunity Party presents a final alternative. Looking back at the comparison matrix, you can see TOP's policy architecture is built on strictly mathematical economic mechanisms, like a land value tax. This approach attracts urban, liberal voters wanting economic equity without demanding massive cultural or constitutional shifts. But there is a specific omission in their platform. They do not utilize Te Tiriti o Waitangi as a structural, non-negotiable bottom line for their policies. Attempting economic progress without centering Māori self-determination runs the risk of repeating old, marginalizing colonial patterns. And while the Greens have surged to 13%, TOP is currently struggling to capture that same widespread polling momentum. Selecting TOP is a vote for clean economic engineering, but it requires accepting that foundational treaty obligations will be sidelined. We are at the final decision point. With minor party support surging, The days of a single party holding all the leverage have shifted. Labour is losing its historical monopoly, and the actual power to shape the next government now rests with the coalition partners, demanding structural prerequisites. This is a strategic flowchart to help map your bottom line to the right party. The top-level question is simple. Is Te Tiriti o Waitangi a structural, non-negotiable requirement for your vote? If structural Te Tiriti protection and national wealth redistribution are paramount, the Green Party has the verified momentum to deliver. If localized Maori governance, completely free from corporate capture, is your absolute priority, your vote belongs to the Te Tai Tokerau Party. If you prefer pure economic reform without constitutional friction, TOP is your correct vehicle. The math to unseat the current government exists right now. But a coalition's actual agenda will be decided by the exact margins these smaller parties secure. A 61-seat majority removes the current coalition from power, but it is the specific weight of these smaller parties that decides if the next government prioritizes economic engineering or structural reform.